Now, this truly qualifies as silly season. Tom Vialle is going to return to MXGP. Welcome back to Vinyl MX. I'm your host, Michael Lindsay, and as always, any of our Newsbreak or Rumor Mill features are brought to you by our fine friends at 6D Helmets. Check them out right now at 6dhelmets.com to learn more about the all-new ATR3 and the third generational omnidirectional system. This is the technology from the brand that brought rotational energy management to the forefront of all motocross riders' minds. So again, check them out now at 6dhelmets.com. Yeah, this is an interesting one, I'll say. Actually, this news was just broken today by our cohort, Lewis Phillips, here at Vinyl MX. And it was a subject that me and him spoke a bit about last week, and we even talked about very briefly on our review show this week, our post-race show, is the Tom Vialle situation. Because at Southwick, there seemed to be more of a question mark of what he was doing, question marks about management, different things people I ran into, and it's been a little bit of a conversation the last week or two. We thought the default was just going to be him staying with Red Bull KTM in the USA, going to the 450 class, because he is now basically not aged out, but is no longer allowed to race 250 regional supercross. That is because he has now won 2 titles, which regardless of the amount of time you've been in the class, age, anything, winning 2 regional supercross titles does bump you out of that class. Meaning, again, he would be going 450 next year. And even speaking to the Red Bull KTM team, they've told us multiple times on record with Ian Harrison and other members of the team that, hey, we're going to run a 3-man 450 team next year with 1 250F. And that was set to be Julian Beaumer as the sole 250 rider, and those 3 450 riders would be made up of, they were hoping at one point, Aaron Plessinger, Tom Vialle, and Chase Sexton. And as we've talked about to great detail and extent between our content, Chase Sexton is no longer a part of that conversation. It was going to be Eli Tomac, but Tom was still going to be there. Something has shifted in the last couple weeks, and is now come out that from what we believe, Tom Vialle has actually, not only is a rumor, we believe he has already inked the deal to go back to Europe, to go back to the MXGP, to go to the MXGP 450 class, because he is, again, a 2-time MX2 world champion as well, move to the 450 for the HRC Honda team in MXGP, basically Garibaldi Racing. So the first thing to tackle here is, what does that mean for Garibaldi Racing, for HRC MXGP's team? They currently have Ruben Fernandez and Tim Geisler, who, as far as we're aware, are both out of contract. And there's been rumors about either one of them, if not both of them, being out of the team. At one point, it sounded like the Coonan brothers would replace them until they figured out their situation with KTM. Jeffrey Hurling's deal is not done to stay KTM, so there's been talks about him potentially going to Honda. Well, now it's Tom. So what does that mean? Well, that either means Ruben or Tim are definitely out the team. One of them could be staying. Again, it seems there was some conversation about Tim potentially ending up at Ducati in MXGP. That's looping back to him maybe being still at Honda, which would make it the Tim and Tom show. So again, that might leave Ruben Fernandez out. But if it leaves Tim out, that adds a whole nother layer to MXGP silly season. What does that do here in the US? Again, they were really seem to be planning on Tom staying, but it changes the perspective here. They're not going to just go for another 450 guy. It sounds like they're going to go back to one of their more original plans of 2 and 2 and try to get another 250 rider. So again, it's not going to quite be apples to apples. Tom not choosing to take on his KTM offer here in the US does not leave them with another 450 spot. It leaves them whatever the heck they want to do, which leans towards 250Fs. Speaking of stuff published today, we also watched shortly after Lewis kind of unveiled that information. He was talking about another 250 rumor, and Steve Mathis also picked up on it from some similar sources and stated that he believes that Kai DeWolf will go ahead and make the U.S. move with KTM in 2026. However, under some further investigation, we don't think as of right now it's true. Not saying it's not going to happen, but we don't think that is the stamped item as of yet. The only thing we really can be sure of is that it sounds like KTM will go for another 250 rider to replace Tom's spot. So that'll be something very fun to watch play out the next couple weeks, especially because their sister team, which is going to be the Roxx Energy Husqvarna squad, currently sounds like they have 3 250 riders locked in, with rider DeFrancesco, Casey Cochran, and we believe Daxton Bennick will be returning to the Austrian fold. Maybe they could just move Bennick over to KTM. Maybe there's another 250 free agent that might pop up in the meantime. Moseman's making a great case for himself and has not been locked down either. Shimoda, we're not 100% sure if he made his decision, albeit we think he's down to the wire between HRC and PC. And again, yes, the dual thing always could happen, but that'll leave an extra little fun layer to the 250 class. Now let's circle back one more time. Tom Vialle, two-time MX2 world champion, comes to the US, two-time Eastern Regional or Eastern Divisional Supercross champ. Sorry, we changed it from region to division this year. That's what Feld has decreed it as now. It's not uncommon to see a GP rider come to the US, even potentially have success and go back. However, it is very rare to see one have the success of Tom Vialle in the 250s and then immediately move back. This isn't the most terribly shocking thing. Again, myself and Lewis were talking about this week, what if the 450 time with KTM didn't go well? Yeah, he's got a great enough repertoire in GPs and he's done well enough. Moving back is extremely plausible. So yes, on one hand, this seems shocking. It's not the most shocking to us because we've discussed the good chance of him going back to MXGP during his career. The more shocking part is that he's going back with HRC because from all accounts, especially the top brass side of KTM Austria, Pit Brian, Robert Jonas, really quite like Tom Vialle. So it's a little more surprising is that they didn't execute a deal to bring him back to GPs and then instead he has gone elsewhere. And the other shocking part is the small amount of information that got out about this beforehand. There was a couple weird rumors around Tom in the last week or two. This one didn't really come to light until the end of the week and didn't really get confirmed till now. So it's very shocking how quickly this may have happened. Either way, big flux. We actually get something silly for this year's silly season. If you have any thoughts or comments on this, throw it down below. Who would you like to see at KTM in the US next year? Would you like to see it be Dwolf? Would you like to see somebody else get that opportunity? Let's hear your guys' opinions. And as always, thanks for watching. Give us a like and subscribe.